Hello and welcome to NIU Weekly. As we wrap up October, we move into the month of November, and we also move into the winter season as far as college athletics are concerned. Fall sports are still going strong, but now we add men's and women's basketball and wrestling to the mix. This is an exciting time to be a college sports fan and an exciting time to be a Huskies fan. It's also a transitional period for the NIU football team because, of course, it's time for Maction games as we move the schedule into the midweek. Next football game, remember, is not until next Wednesday. Midweek games over the next 3 weeks for NIU. And, of course, as I mentioned, it's basketball season as well. So very excited to be here. My name is Terry Bonadonna, your host as always here on NIU Weekly. We've got a couple of good guests coming up, but before I get to them, I do want to talk a little bit about basketball because we're less than a week away from both teams starting their regular season. The women's team hosts their season opener on Monday morning. It's an 11 a.m. start time for Education Day. They take on Louisiana in the MAC Sun Belt Challenge. The men's team is playing in the MAC Sun Belt Challenge as well. They'll be down in Georgia at Georgia Southern that same night, Monday. So don't forget about that. And don't forget as well that they are returning home for their home opener on Thursday evening at the Convo as NIU hosts Holy Cross College. Basketball season tickets are still available. Men's basketball season tickets start at $105 for general admission seats, or reserve seats are $120. For the women's team, season tickets are only $35 if you want general admission. Pay a little bit extra for the reserve seats in great locations, just $50 though for that. Discounts are available for NIU faculty and staff, NIU Alumni Association, senior citizens, and varsity club members. Go to niuhuskies.com/tickets or call 815-753-PACK. That's 815-753-7225 to get your Husky basketball tickets today. All right, let's start talking about some of our guests for today's show. Football coach Thomas Hammock will be joining me in just a moment, as he does every week here on NIU Weekly. And then we're going to talk about Huskies Invest a little bit. A couple of weeks ago, we had a chance to talk to Don Parisi as we were leading up to the week of giving. That week has now come and gone, and so we're going to be talking to Chris Barker, the Associate Athletic Director for Development and Revenue Generation. It's going to be a really good talk with Chris Barker as we talk about how successful Huskies Invest was. All right, here we go. Without any further ado, let's welcome our first guest today. Thomas Hammock, the head football coach here at NIU, joins me now on NIU Weekly as we talk with Thomas every week. Coach, great to see you as always.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Let's talk a little bit about what happened last week against Ball State. It's a tough loss. How do you get past that one?
That's a good question. I mean, I think, every game is its own entity. And, we understand that, you win or you lose or you learn. And we did a lot of learning that last game. But I like the fight of our kids. I thought they really fought to the end, played 60 minutes of great competitive football. It just didn't go our way at the end.
What kind of positives do you take away from a game like that on Saturday?
Well, I like the way our kids responded. They stayed in the fight. They gave it everything they had. And as a coach, that's all you can ask for. I think you understand that, you bear the responsibility when your team loses. And I accept that. But, I was proud of their effort, proud of their 1-2, proud of the fight to the finish, and then proud of the response in the locker room. I mean, losing a game like that is hard. I thought they handled it the right way. They're responding this week the right way. And that's what you try to build in young people.
It was a little bit strange on Saturday. It was the first time all year that we haven't seen the defense dominate play. Ball State was able to get some yards. They were able to score some points in the first half, struggled a little bit more to score in the second half. But what did you see that the Cardinals did offensively that challenged you guys a little bit?
Well, you knew going into the game they were going to try a lot of, trick plays, get your eyes in different spots and do some different things. And we were prepared for it. Before they ran the reverse, it was a timeout, and we told our guys they were going to run a reverse. But you have to trust your guys to make the play. And I think, obviously, we put them in some bad spots offensively by turning the ball over. But I thought they held up defensively. They held them to 25 points. We have to be able to score 26 to give ourselves a chance to win. But our defense will respond. They got the right makeup on that side of the ball, and I think they're hungry to finish the season the right way.
I think it's weird sometimes. Of course, you want to win every game if you can, but sometimes when a unit like your defense has been so good all year, sometimes it's hard to find the areas that you need to improve in. And everybody always needs to improve. When you have a game like that where you did give up a season high in points against Ball State, it gives you a chance, I think, to self-scout a little bit. Have you been looking into how do you get better going into the next one?
Yeah, I think for us, it's about the way we practice and attack practice. I think that's something that we always can get better at. Making sure we on the details, not getting complacent based on where you are and perceived statistics, and obviously Ball State did some things that was different than what they showed on tape. So, we have to make adjustments quicker. We know people are going to play us different than what they've done on tape, and so if we go into it understanding that, then we can make better adjustments quicker.
One of the positives you mentioned that you could take away from that game on Saturday was the competitiveness, the way that your team bounced back. And they did it at the end of halves. You got a touchdown late in the first half. You got the go-ahead field goal in the last minute of the second half. What impressed you most about your team's ability to really perfect that 2-minute drill?
Yeah, I mean, to score 7 before the half and had an opportunity to score 14 before the half. We threw a great ball. We just didn't come down with it. Had a chance to score 14 points right before the quarter. Um, you know, the one thing that you look for is, are we putting our guys in position to make plays? And then you have to trust them to make the plays. And so there was a couple instances we did not make the plays that we needed to make. And I think that was why we got the result that we did.
You used two quarterbacks on Saturday, Ethan Hampton and Josh Holst, pretty evenly in terms of the number of snaps they took. What did you think out of both of your quarterbacks?
I thought both guys came in and operated and did things well. We have to protect the ball at the quarterback position. That's first and foremost. That's something that we talk about. When you in playing one possession games, every down is critical, and you cannot turn the ball over. And so we have to get that fixed over the next 10 days from an offensive standpoint to not put our defense in a bad spot where we can maximize possessions on offense.
Both of those quarterbacks bring a little something different to the table. Do you foresee using both of them as the season goes on?
Well, I think obviously we got some time here to practice and to get an evaluation of what exactly can we do. We have an idea of what each guy can do individually, but in the flow of a game, how can you manage that flow of the game? So that's what we're going to try to figure out over the next couple of days. I think both guys bring something different. They can give us a spark in their own way, and we have to manage that the right way.
You've got a little layoff, kind of a mini bye going into Kalamazoo next week. When you have that much time off, whether it's coming off of a tough loss like this, or it could be coming off of a big win, you had that situation earlier in the year where you beat Notre Dame and then had the bye week after that. Do you change emotionally how you try to coach these guys to respond? In other words, I guess, do you give them a little bit more time to say, okay, we lost that one. We don't necessarily need to turn the page immediately, or do you the next day say, okay, we got to get into Western Michigan?
Well, I think for us, you want to give the players a chance to get away for a minute, to recharge mentally and physically, and I think we've done that. Anxious to get back on the practice field with these guys and attack the week. We're gonna do a lot of good versus good to sharpen our edges as a football team. And we have to make sure that we're doing the things on the practice field that's going to show up on game day, and so that's going to be a big point of emphasis as we go throughout the week.
How does coaching change in terms of preparation when you have that extra time?
Well, I think we looked at some different things from a schedule standpoint. Obviously, we play Miami of Ohio on a short week, so took a look at them for a day, and then jump into Western Michigan. From a game planning standpoint, where we can get ahead, uh, take a look at some things and evaluate if that's really what we want to do, how we want to attack, and then have some more time to clean it up on the back end of the week.
Well, let's talk about Western Michigan. They're tops in the MAC right now. What kind of challenges do you think they're going to pose?
Yeah, they possess a great challenge. They're the number one team in the MAC for a reason. very strong offensively. The quarterback is really distributing the ball. The running back number 3 is running excellent. They got some receivers that can make plays. Defensively, they're doing a good job of taking the ball away. I think they are +7 in the turnover margin, so we got to do a good job in that regard. And then obviously special teams, they do a nice job and very solid in that area. So a well balanced team. Coach Taylor has done a great job with his program, and we look forward to the challenge next week.
What do you think are the biggest keys to come away with a victory next week?
Well, we got to protect the ball on offense. It starts there. We have to minimize explosive plays. They get a lot of explosive plays in the run game and the pass game offensively. And then we have to be very, very sound on special teams. So it's going to take a complete game from us. I'm looking forward to the preparation and getting our team ready to play the best that they can play on game day.
Coach Thomas Hammock, always a pleasure to talk with you. We're looking forward to, I guess, a little break this weekend, and then we'll see you at Western Michigan next week.
Appreciate it, and go Huskies.
Our next guest here on NIU Weekly is NIU Senior Associate Athletic Director for Development and Revenue Generation, Chris Barker. Chris, welcome to NIU Weekly. Great to have you here.
Thanks, Terry. Appreciate you having me today.
So that title I just introduced you by is kind of a mouthful. I know you've got a lot to talk about, but before we get to it, tell us what exactly that means. What do you do here at NIU?
Yeah, so it is a long title. There's no doubt about that. And I just tell people I'm just another bald guy. But honestly, I oversee all of our Husky Athletic Fund staff, which is the development piece of it. And then I oversee our ticketing staff as well. That happened in this last July, which has been a great experience. And we've had a lot of fun with that area. Then I oversee on the side sports performance, that staff, and then also women's basketball and then men's and women's tennis. So I have a lot of good people that I get to work with, is what I say. But is a good sized staff, that's for sure.
How long have you been at the school, and how has your role developed?
Yeah, I got here in September of 2023, so just over a year now, eclipsing that 14-month mark here. It's evolved quickly in a good way. Like I said, I took on ticketing this past summer in July, and I think my lens on it, we've been solely focused on stewardship, right? This side of what we do in college athletics, it's all about people, and really all of college athletics is about people. So I think the value in that and being able to lead a group of people who have really bought into that vision, and it starts up top with our vice president, Sean T. Frazier. He's let me lead the way I want to lead in the right way. So I've enjoyed that a lot.
Well, it's great getting to know you a little bit, and I'm sure everybody watching would love to just hear you talk about yourself all day, but we're going to transition away from that. You are here to talk specifically about the big event that just wrapped up last week, Huskies Invest, which was a big success from what I understand. How did it go?
Yeah, no, it was a big one, and big credit to obviously, who was it? TJ Fuhrbach, who has led this initiative, for the last several years here. We've had a good foundation to really grow off of. We surpassed $1 million again, which is no small feat by any means, but, it really does start with our donors, alumni, and supporters in general. Huge thank you. We can't do any of this without them. They truly are, impacting and changing the lives of our student athletes daily. And, at a place like NIU, it really does make a big impact, and you see that daily.
You mentioned the dollar amount, raising over $1 million, obviously a big deal. But in addition to that, it's not just the amount of money, it's where it's coming from. And there was a big uptick in the number of gifts this year.
Yeah, this was really I would say a very diverse, I would say group of donors, but importantly where it came from, right? So historically, like last year we had 455 gifts, we had 1,000 gifts this year. And that is a testament again to the, Husky Nation, but also our development staff, again, our vice president, and TJ as well. We've done a good job, and we really do believe in stewardship and making sure that we're treating people the right way, and providing an experience that is, not only unforgettable, but one that is priceless, right? But I think telling that story of why Huskies Invest is so important, the impact that it makes, that goes a long way. So we're really proud of the fact that we had 1,000 gifts and that we had 471 unique donors. That's not a small feat again, but it does go back to stewardship, and this is all about relationships. So we're really fortunate to have people that have bought into that internally and externally.
I think it's so important to anytime somebody donates money, they want to make sure that it's going to a place that they actually support. And one of the great things about Huskies Invest is you can, to some extent, earmark where is this money going? What specifically do you see this money going towards in order to provide opportunities for student athletes?
Yeah, again, Huskies Invest is unique. You talk about our job annual fund, right? It's to, donate to the masses, right? And it's not necessarily $1 million gift, right? It's a lot of little gifts, but every gift matters. So, when we talk about this week, when you have 29 accounts, that are publicized and socialized, right? It goes directly to students. That's the benefit of, I would say, an annual fund like ours. Every dollar does go directly to that student athlete experience, whether it be feeding, team meals, that nutrition side, the sports performance side, or just helping out with, hey, how do we get extra travel in, right? We're going to go to a unique place. So those dollars really are going directly to those programs. It's not like we're taking any money from that. It's going and actually making a daily impact on how they're actually becoming successful humans, right? We're developing champions and leaders for life. And that's the benefit of Huskies Invest. It really is. It's a great initiative, and it really does impact them daily. But then in the long run, and I think what's cool for me, I talk about when I speak with and meet with donors and alumni, I can look at an alum from 1970, and it's almost exactly the same as talking to a current student athlete, in terms of the type of people that we get here, the work ethic, the drive. It really is inspiring from my lens and my role, where I can see that and build those relationships, and then go back to our current students and see the same things and say, you're going to be that person, right? And hopefully, just like I think anyone else, we want them to be better than our current alums, right? But it does talk about and does start about with that foundation of those alums who have paved that way for us. So really unique and really special, to have that opportunity to where it actually does impact that student directly.
I know we've spent a lot of time building up the week of giving, and we've been doing it on this show as well, every week mentioning it's coming up, it's coming up. Now it's over. I think there's kind of this tendency to breathe a sigh of relief. Okay, we're moving on. But fundraising never actually ends. There's still opportunities to get involved with the Husky Athletic Fund. So how do fans get involved if maybe they missed last week, or maybe they were involved in last week and they still want to keep adding in more? Who can they contact? How can they get their donations in?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they can always reach out to me. That's not a bad thing. TJ Feuerbach, who is our major gifts officer, but anyone from the Husky Athletic Fund, they can reach out via email. All of our email addresses are obviously on the website, but also the general Husky Athletic Fund email as well. Or they can call in. So there's a lot of opportunities to call. Again, giving never stops, right? But more importantly, relationships don't stop. And we want to make sure, as we segue from football into the basketball season, that people are able to have those same unique experiences as well. People ask me all the time, well, what is the benefit of becoming the Husky Athletic Fund? Well, one, you're impacting students, but two, there's unique experiences that are involved in that and benefits that come with that. So it's something for people to think about, why would I actually get involved with NIU athletics? Well, let us tell you, right? We'll give you all the reasons why, and also make sure that that's continued and communicated moving forward.
I know basketball season is now underway, and you're very directly involved with basketball here at NIU. We'll get to that in a minute, but I do want to talk a little bit more about football as well, because it's been a great season around DeKalb. The fans have certainly gotten excited. There has been an increase in attendance this season. So I know there's excitement on campus for that, but there's still 2 more home games to go. What are you looking to see for those last 2?
Yeah, we want to finish strong. It actually just came out on D1 Ticker yesterday that we are the highest in Division One, the number one, I would say, year-over-year increase in attendance this year. So this year's average for our home games has been over 15,000, and that's not a small number. You would talk about historically, it's something to be proud of. But as I reminded my staff as we talked about this today, the word for hard work is more hard work, right? And for us, it's not hard work, right? It's communicating and making sure that we have the right promotional items going out, making sure there's the right ticket promos, but also on the premium side, making sure people have the opportunity to get engaged in those areas, right? So it's marketing and communications is where it comes to at the end of this. So, for us, we want to finish football strong. We have 2 really good home games left, so again, you can call the ticket office, or you can call the Husky Athletic Fund, and we're always happy. I would say the marketing side has been great this year, really helping us push out those promotions, and you've seen them come through. NIU Weekly, we appreciate your all staff doing that as well, but it's really been a team effort. Those numbers, and it truly is the epitome of Husky Nation, right? You don't have attendance numbers if everybody isn't bought into that, right? So it's been a lot of fun, I would say, leading those areas, but more importantly, seeing our fans and supporters be able to experience a great atmosphere for our student athletes.
I mentioned a moment ago, basketball season's just getting underway. You are the AD for women's basketball. What does that mean for you, and how excited are you about this upcoming season?
I'm really excited about this group. I think Coach Carlson and her staff have put together a really competitive group. I think from a women's basketball side across the country, everyone's seeing that excitement and that engagement. And we're seeing that same, I would say, uptick here in DeKalb as well. Women's basketball only has 4 courtside seats remaining. That's a testament again to the relationships that have been built. But more importantly, the student athletes that go out there and compete. It's a good product. They play the game the right way, and they're even better off the court, right? So, I expect, they have a lot of veteran returners, a lot of experienced returners and talented returners and newcomers as well. They're going to be competitive. It's going to be a fun style and brand to watch. There's no doubt about that. So we're excited about it. And, we've enhanced our premium spaces. Now women's courtside is their own premium hospitality area that they can go into in the Victory Pub, which is a great deal and a great add-on. And we've also opened that up, and we're adding that from a marketing standpoint as well for people to have access to that. So we're really excited about women's and men's basketball as well.
Yeah, and you talk about some of those premium areas. I've been pushing every week for, it feels like months at this point, the season tickets. But there's other ways to do it, and there are really some great areas you can get and some great perks you can get going to one of these games.
Absolutely. And a lot of people don't know this, they see the suites up top. We have great packages available for that as well. And again, it's fun, especially you talk about in the middle of winter, there's nothing else to do, right? Well, come on over to the Convocation Center. We have a great product to show and really just to have a good time at, really. So we're excited about it. Hopefully if anyone has questions, they reach out to the Husky Athletic Fund about that, or even our ticketing office. There's a lot of people who will make sure that they're taken care of and communicated with.
Well, Chris Barker, it's been a pleasure talking with you. Thanks for stopping by NIU Weekly.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Terry. And as always, go Huskies.
Before we say goodbye today, we do have to take a look at the upcoming NIU schedule, and it's a busy one. We are fully into crossover season now. So, give me 10 minutes or so. I'll get a list of all the games coming. It's not going to actually take that long, but it feels like it. There's a lot happening and a lot of very important things happening because we are getting towards the end of fall season. We'll start with women's tennis because they are at home this weekend. The Husky Indoor Invitational all weekend. That's right here in DeKalb at the Chick Evans Fieldhouse on the Nelson Tennis Center. So that should be a lot of fun. At home this weekend, the volleyball team heads out onto the road. They're out east in Buffalo over the weekend, but they'll return home on Tuesday. They've got a home match against Western Michigan on Tuesday evening. That's at 6 o'clock, November 5th. Women's soccer starts their MAC championship tournament run this Sunday. Men's soccer on Friday is hosting Senior Day. That's against Drake at 7 o'clock on Friday night. There are some big events as well for cross country. MAC championships begin on Saturday morning down in Muncie, Indiana for women's cross country. And then as we roll past the weekend and into next week, we've had some basketball exhibition games, but the season is off and running fully starting on Monday, and nobody wants to wait around. So it's going to be bright and early on Monday morning. Women's basketball takes on Louisiana in the MAC Sun Belt Challenge at 11 o'clock on Monday. Men's basketball later that night. Their MAC Sun Belt Challenge game is down south at Georgia Southern. That'll be a 6 o'clock start time. On Wednesday, women's basketball is back in action at Iowa, the defending national runners-up. So that's certainly exciting for them. And football is at Western Michigan, and that is exciting as well. That game will be on ESPN2 on Wednesday night, or you can hear it on 94.9 WDKB. That's where I'm going to be with Andy Garcia and Mark Lindo. We'll have the call from Kalamazoo on Wednesday. Again, that game is going to be a 6 o'clock Central start time. We'll have the pregame show for you at 5:30. Don't forget as well, Andy is back on the hardwood with Rodney Davis. They're on the men's basketball broadcast all season, so don't forget to tune into them as well. That's going to do it for this week's episode of NIU Weekly. Thanks once again to our guests, Thomas Hammock and Chris Barker. Thank you to everybody involved in NIU Weekly. That includes Donna Turner, who puts it all together before the recording, and Kevin Meyer, who puts it all together after the recording. So thank you to everybody involved. Thank you to you for tuning in. Don't forget that NIUHuskies.com is your home for all the information on these events, team stats, game notes, and a whole lot more. Don't forget to like and subscribe to these videos so you can make sure to not only get NIU Weekly each week, but you get interviews, you get press conferences, you get highlight reels, and a whole lot more. Thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you next week. Go Huskies.